In 1966, a young boy is playing quietly in his room when he suddenly hears his mother calling him from downstairs. He walks toward the bathroom and opens a small cupboard beneath the sink, only to find his mother hiding inside in a horrifying condition. She looks pale, sick, almost inhuman. In a weak voice, she tells him, "I'm hungry. Bring me something to eat." The boy quickly runs to the kitchen, grabs an apple, and hands it to her. She devours it in seconds, almost like she hasn't eaten in days. Then she asks something even stranger. "Bring some for my friend too." That single line instantly changes the atmosphere. Before the boy can react, his father suddenly appears and yells at him to stay away from her. But it's already too late. His mother grabs the child and begins eating him. The scene cuts away immediately, leaving the rest to the imagination, which honestly makes it even worse. The story then jumps to 1987. A cameraman arrives at the isolated home of a man named Harold. He's there to shoot a documentary about the strange tragedies connected to Harold and his house. Over the years, rumors about this place have spread everywhere. Some people believe it's haunted. Others think Harold himself is a killer. Harold's wife and son died years earlier under mysterious circumstances, and suspicion naturally fell on him. Now, Harold wants this documentary to finally clear his name. He even paid the cameraman in advance, almost desperately trying to control the story before anyone else does. That alone feels suspicious. The cameraman begins setting up his equipment while Harold calmly starts telling his story. But the unsettling part is how normal Harold acts while describing horrific events. It's almost like he stopped fearing evil a long time ago because he got used to living beside it. Harold takes the cameraman into the basement and shows him the exact place where his wife's body was found. He explains that he had been away on a business trip, but when he returned home, he found her dead in terrible condition. Her face looked frozen in fear, as if she had seen something unimaginable moments before dying. Her body was covered in bite marks. The police obviously suspected Harold at first, but there was one problem. The bite marks didn't match human teeth, and without evidence, the police had no choice but to let him go. The cameraman asks about Harold's son next, but Harold immediately becomes uncomfortable. He avoids the question completely, which honestly says more than words ever could. Later, Harold shows him old photographs while children play outside the house. Laughing strangely, he says, "People think there's a witch living under this house." He laughs, but it doesn't sound like a joke. At this point, the cameraman starts feeling uneasy and considers leaving. But Harold offers him extra money to stay until filming is complete. And greed wins. That decision turns out to be the worst mistake of his life. Later that night, the cameraman reviews the footage he recorded earlier. While slowing down one basement clip and increasing the brightness, he notices something terrifying standing behind Harold. A shadowy figure, tall, distorted, watching silently from the darkness. Before he can even react, Harold calls him over and shows him an old film reel from the day his wife died. In the footage, Harold's wife looks terrified and barely alive. But the truly disturbing thing is Harold smiling in the background, like none of it bothers him anymore. Harold calmly explains that people believe a witch named Beezel lived beneath the house and survives by feeding on human flesh. Hearing all this, the cameraman becomes overwhelmed and suddenly blacks out. When he wakes up, he's tied to a chair. Now the truth finally comes out. Harold admits he drugged him, first through the food, then through the water. Harold explains that his job is simple. He captures people for Beezel. Nothing more, nothing less. According to Harold, the witch has lived beneath the house for over 100 years, long before he ever arrived. She survives through human sacrifices and gives birth every 300 years. And to keep her alive, people must die. Harold admits he sacrificed many victims over the years, even his own wife. At first, watching Beezel feed on corpses horrified him, but over time he adapted to it. That's probably the scariest part of the entire story. Not the witch itself, but how easily humans learn to live beside evil when survival benefits them. Harold's second wife also helped him continue the sacrifices. And now, it's clear Harold is no longer fully human himself. His eyes look unnatural, almost possessed, like Beezel slowly turned him into her servant. The cameraman finally snaps. Using a screwdriver nearby, he stabs Harold in the throat. Harold collapses, dying. But then, Beezel arrives. the witch brutally attacks the cameraman and decapitates him instantly. Harold dies as well, leaving only his second wife behind. Then the story jumps again, this time to 2003. A nurse arrives at the same house to care for Harold's sick widow. Her health is failing badly, and the previous caretaker, Charlotte, disappeared mysteriously. No one knows why, but honestly, by now the audience can probably guess. The nurse tries to stay professional, but something about Harold's widow feels deeply wrong. Her smile is unnatural, forced, like something pretending to be human. While cleaning the room, the nurse discovers an old tape recorder belonging to Charlotte. After playing it, she hears Charlotte describing increasingly disturbing behavior from Harold's wife. According to the recording, the old woman stopped eating and drinking entirely, yet somehow stayed alive, almost like something else was sustaining her. Charlotte also recorded terrifying sleep-talking sessions where Harold's wife spoke about sacrifices and another voice could be heard speaking back to her, a voice that didn't sound human. The nurse decides to test this herself by placing a recorder beside the sleeping woman. Later that night, she wakes up and sees Harold's wife standing over her with white eyes and a horrifying smile stretched across her face. For a second, it feels like pure nightmare fuel. Then the nurse wakes up again. It was just a dream, or at least she thinks it was. When she checks the recorder, she hears something terrifying. Harold's wife whispers, "Enough is enough." Then another voice says only one word, "Hello." The voice is distorted and unnatural, followed by violent static sounds. The nurse panics. She searches the basement after hearing screams and discovers ID cards belonging to Charlotte and her sister. That's when she realizes both women disappeared in this house, and neither of them ever escaped. Moments later, she senses something nearby and runs in fear. She hides behind a small door and discovers Charlotte alive, but barely. She's in horrific condition. Before the nurse can save her, Beezel appears and brutally kills the nurse. The story then moves to 2013. A new couple moves into the cursed house. Harold's second wife is dead now, but the evil inside the house clearly survived her. The new couple includes Nova and her husband. He wants to sell the house and move on, but Nova desperately wants a child. That emotional weakness makes her the perfect target. One night, Nova hears strange noises beneath the bed. When she looks, she sees feet standing near the doorway. Then suddenly, those feet begin climbing onto the bed. When Nova looks into the mirror, she realizes the figure looks exactly like her. From this point on, reality itself starts feeling unstable. The next day, Nova discovers a tiny baby in the basement and instantly becomes attached to it. But when her husband looks at the same thing, he sees a dead cat. That's when it becomes obvious Beezel is manipulating Nova psychologically. The witch is preparing something. Nova's husband later finds Harold's old camera containing footage of the witch and the previous deaths. Terrified, he begs Nova to leave immediately. But by now, it's already too late. That night, Nova dreams about attacking her husband. At first, it seems like just another nightmare, until the next morning, when she actually tries to kill him. Then the horrifying truth is revealed. Beezel has reached the end of her 300-year cycle and needs a new child to consume. She manipulated Nova and her husband, pushing them closer together so Nova would become pregnant. And it worked. Within days, Nova gives birth, but the child is not meant to live. Beezel devours the baby, restoring her strength and youth. Nova dia son afterward. In the final moments of the film, another family moves into the house. Another cycle begins, another group of victims. And the scariest theory the movie suggests is this. Maybe Beezel was never trapped inside the house. Maybe she only needed people to believe she was. And with that horrifying thought, the story ends.